Welcome, everyone. This is Eric Roth here with another episode of Science, Planets, and Stellar Rhythms. This is going to be one that is not just for uh, this particular period of time, but for each annual occurrence of this event that's upcoming here. So it'll be something you can watch each and every year if you need a refresh about this particular event. So we're going to get into that here with another episode here, back to making more regular videos. So excited to keep doing that creative work here and sharing the wisdom and knowledge of astrology and the stars and the planets and signs. So let's get to it, shall we? All right, episode 58 of our Science, Planets, and Stellar Rhythms. This is about the Lion's Gate. I haven't done a video about this, that it occurs each and every year. And it's a relatively recent incarnation of an event, meaning that, yes, of course, things in the sky are going to, be there, but our recognition of it, our acknowledgement of it, has been in recent decades. So there's a lot to unpack with this, and because there's definitely a lot of confusion about what this is and where it came from. And even with this video that I'm creating here, there isn't a complete and full understanding of what this really is about. Now, there are a lot of other astrologers and seekers and others that are out there creating content around this Lion's Gate, including writings and videos and so forth. So you can get bits and pieces from others, but this will be my interpretation, opinion of what this is about. And I definitely did some research around this. I'll share with you all that is in this. But I can't go into every single detail. Of course, that would be a very long video. All right, so let's get into the highlights of this video here. We're going to do an overview of the Lion's Gate, 8-8, the significance of August 8th, and infinity, heliacal rise of the star Sirius, and of course, how it pertains to Egypt, its relationship to Egypt, the Orion's belt and the pyramids, because there's definitely a connection there. And of course, the astrological and just general meaning of the Lion's Gate. So there is astrology involved in this, but not just astrology per se. All right, so overview. Let's take a look at this. So this really, from what I've read and understand in my research, that the Lion's Gate originates from ancient Egypt, or they didn't really quote call it that, but at that time, the constellations were placed in a different manner, meaning that the actual lion constellation was in a different point in the sky. And so the lion was part of at one point, as was part of a different part of the sky that we're used to seeing at a certain time of year. So, but the star Sirius was a very powerful star for Egyptians thousands of years ago, and even today, to some extent, there is a old Sothic calendar that is based on the rhythms and pattern of Sirius and the sky over the ages. So they revered this particular star due to its appearance and disappearance before and at the beginning of the annual flooding of the Nile River. Sirius is also part of the sky where the belt of Orion is, the Orion constellation, the belt of Orion. The Great Pyramids are actually modeled in a way after the way the belt is Orion is seen in the sky. So there's a little bit I'm going to share about that. And today's Lion Gate explanation is going to be centered on the magical August 8th date, near the time of the heliacal rise of Sirius. That's a whole thing in and of itself. So the sun is also in the sign of Leo and near the middle of the summer season. So 15 degrees of Leo marks the moment between the June solstice and the September equinox. So that August 8 date is really close to that, within a few days. It's not exact. So there is some things that are off-centered with that. So in recent years, it's believed that this Lion's Gate is a portal for ascension and alignment within ourselves. So let's take a look at this 8-8. So it's every year it happens, we have an August 8th. The only other date that only happens once every 4 years, that doesn't in the regular calendar, is February 29th, but every other date is the same. So it takes place each year, but numerologically, 8-8 has a powerful connection as kind of this double symbol of infinity. And 8 has that sort of that double loop, which is a powerful modern symbol of infinity. It's also 8 is also connected to the level of abundance, luck, power, balance, and prosperity. So the month of August, or the 8th month of the year, was named after Augustus Caesar in 8 BCE. And the Romans originally called August Sextilis up until 8 BC. So the Romans were using the Julian calendar at that time, which was adopted in 46 to 45 BCE. And in the 21st century, 8-8 became associated with the so-called Lion's Gate for a variety of reasons, using not the Julian calendar, but of course the modern Gregorian calendar, which is more accurate form of timekeeping, if you will, with the solar year. And most specifically, the Lion's Gate is associated much more with the 8-8 and the sign of the Leo, rather than where it, quote, is in the sky, although there is a loose connection to that from at least the modern definition. But if you look deeply into that, if you were to really line it up with that 15 degree of Leo, you would use August 6th or 7th generally each and every year. This year, it's like 16.5 degrees Leo, which is a little bit more than halfway between the June solstice and the September equinox. Okay, so Leo and the Lion. The Lion's Gate is named after the astrological sign or temporal or seasonal sign of Leo, and associated with the Lion constellation. They were one and the same. About 2,000 years ago, they overlapped each other a lot, but that due to precession of the equinox, that is shifted quite dramatically. So the sun is in the sign of Leo, usually between about July 22nd and August 22nd. That can change every year by a day or so due to the way the Earth's orbit is and the sun across the sky, where it's located in the sky. So on 8-8, the sun is typically between 16 and 17 degrees of Leo. Again, it is usually about halfway through that sign and halfway between the equinox of September and the June solstice of June, going forward right around August 6th or 7th. So I talked about how things are different now with the constellations. I'm going to show you some night sky images around that. So the sun, when it's on the calendar day of 8-8, it's actually between two constellations, the Crab and the Lion, which I'll share with you here in a few moments. The sun doesn't move into the Lion until about August 11th or 12th on average. And it depends on one's, perspective on where the sort of the boundary of the constellation is. So some might say, oh, well, it's not until really August 14th or 15th when it gets really, really close to that and enters the Lion constellation. So it all depends on one's perspective and what kind of guidelines they're using. So the star Sirius is a huge part of what the definition of the Lion's Gate is as well. So the Lion's Gate celebrates the alignment of the star Sirius and its alignment with the sun in Paran, or what they might call in conjunction, as also the heliacal rise of Sirius. There's also this writings about the alignment with Earth. Well, it's, when you have the star Sirius, and the sun, of course the Orion's belt is part of this. You're going to be seeing different things at different times of year. So whatever your definition of alignment is or conjunction is in that way, it's going to change throughout the year. So, you might really, physically speaking, the Earth is closer to the star Sirius when it's between the sun and the star Sirius. So that would be in early January when that happens, not in the summertime. But if we're looking at like the alignment with the sun and the earth and the star Sirius, then you would look, as far as like that sort of that level over the horizon as it's coming up. That's when you can experience that more strongly here in the summertime, particularly August. So the Lion's Gate uh, really depends on one's geographical location. So, and even more specifically, their latitude on the planet. So in relation to the star Sirius, not the actual calendar date. So if you're in Seattle, Washington, or Bogota, Colombia, Sirius is going to rise at a different, you might see Sirius at a very different point in the season than you would in other places. So people in the northern hemisphere and the upper northern hemisphere are going to see it later in the year than those that are closer to the equator or in the southern hemisphere. So it's very, very different. So it can rise anywhere from about mid-July to early September. And that's really going up to like the really super high northern latitudes. And so also Sirius and the Paran. Paran is when a star is rising at the same time as another object, or it could be a planet or the sun, or maybe there's two stars rising at the same time, or maybe one is setting and one is rising. That's what a Paran is. So it'll vary depending on, again, one's geographical location, specifically their latitude. All right, so Orion's belt and the Egyptian connection. So the Lion's Gate was not specifically called the Lion's Gate thousands of years ago, but its origins go back to ancient Egypt and their relationship with the star Sirius and the three stars that make up what we call Orion's belt. Orion's belt has generally been part of the inspiration for the building of the three main pyramids, among other major factors, on the Giza Plateau. That's where the actual pyramids are located. This is just an artistic rendition of, and to some degree, some kind of reality built into the, realism built into the picture and the image you see in the background there. So some astrologers and others claim that 88 is the date that Sirius, Orion's belt, and the Earth line up. I don't fully agree with that because they're choosing only one day for this, and that it's really a period of time, from July through August into early September that it's happens each and every year. So again, depends on your latitude. But 88 is kind of near the center of it, but not quite. It's in that zone. So you might see different dates and different websites, from like late July to like mid-August, somewhere in there. And they're using that to show that the 8/8 or August 8th is the center. But it's like in some cases, they're using arbitrary dates for that. So I'm not sure what their research is showing or what what they're reading into there, but I think they're trying to get sort of a general idea of what's happening here in that. So I think that the major point with this is the meaning of all this. But anyway, let's go back to Egyptian connection here. So in thousands of years ago, when the pyramids were built, it looked very different. In fact, the star Sirius was very, very, very far out of alignment, if you will, from the August 8th date back. You going back that far, it's going to be happening in June/July rather than August because of the precession of the equinox. So you were really out of time in that sense. That's why the signs themselves are placed in moments in time and locked into the seasonal dates, whereas the constellations are things that rotate around the Earth once every 26,000 years. So again, this is something that I would encourage all astrologers and other researchers to look at when they are talking about the 8/8 date and seeing what's really happening, and maybe even especially getting out under the sky and having a relationship with the star Sirius and Orion's belt and seeing where what is taking place there. So the other thing about Orion's belt is that it's always aligned in a specific way with the star Sirius. So there is no shift in it with that star throughout each and every year. It is, and I'll show you some night sky images to show you why that is, but I'm not sure why they would say we're in alignment with Orion's belt other than the pyramids and their alignment with the three stars that make up Orion's belt. So I think they're just including that just so that's the honoring of the ancient connection that we have to the pyramids. Now, Sirius there was a calendar based off of Sirius in ancient Egypt called the Sothic calendar, and it had to do with the 1461 year um, uh, Sirius, rotation, if you will, its alignment through the various parts of the sky. So Egypt had also a solar calendar, a civil calendar, which they used to check their Sothic calendar with Sirius and eventually make corrections. So they knew about this, the star Sirius played a powerful role in its heralding of the floods in along the Nile River in Egypt. And there's also this story of the phoenix itself relates to the goddess Sopdet and the star Sirius, what we call the dog star today. And there's that its connection to the return of the phoenix after every 1461 years. It would after it would turn to dust and ash, it would rise again and fly to Heliopolis and do the same thing over and over again. So that is its relationship with the phoenix and the star Sirius. Now here this is from whenthecurveslineup.com. It talks about the heliacal rise of Sirius, and depending on your latitude. So where I am, I'm pretty close to in Southern Oregon, pretty close to the Chicago latitude here. August 12th would be the day that we would see the heliacal rise. And these calculations were done by John Muse. He's got a whole series of astronomical, mathematical calculations that can be helpful for astrologers as well in connecting into the eclipses and the nodes and the planetary alignments and things like that. So along with heliacal rises. But if you live way north, like in the UK or north of that, you could be up here in the August 20th date or northern Canada, in September 2nd. But if you live like around the time around the area where the Giza Plateau is, you will see Sirius rise August 1st on average. Again, this is the 2024 dates. So it can vary by 1 day or so on either side each and every year. So again, 8/8 is somewhere like around like 38, 39 degrees north latitude. So that would be like between, say, San Francisco and maybe close to like Redding, California, in that area, that Northern California part, maybe in the, sort of like just below the sort of the Great Lakes area down into like the Midwest of the US as an example. Like those areas, 8/8 would be kind of an alignment. I think maybe, not sure what Kansas City is, but that might be kind of in that zone roughly. So it's something you'd want to check depending on your location there. So you would want to begin looking about 50 minutes before sunrise, a day or two before the predicted date, to really connect into like when is it really going to rise so you can catch it. So especially in the summertime, you have to here in the northern hemisphere, you have to rise a bit early since the sun rises around maybe depending on your location, 6 a.m., maybe a little after 6 a.m. around that time. So you'd have to be up, 5 a.m. or something to kind of go and look for the star Sirius. And you have to have a really clear horizon. But this is a way to really build a relationship with that star. All right, so here is on 8/8 from where I am, about 42 degrees north latitude. You can see the star Sirius just rising. Again, August 12th is more accurate date for my area, but then you can see the sun is just about to come up above the horizon here, down in this lower left corner. So, and then you see all these amazing stars, part of the sacred hoop of stars from the Lakota tribe. And then you see Orion's belt. So really this Orion's belt is not quite in alignment with Sirius. I mean, other than its usual alignment, kind of almost like a north vertical line, north and south, if you will, which is always present until it rotates around, then it's going to be at a diagonal angle. But if you look at the star Betelgeuse, Procyon, and Sirius, they are in this near equilateral triangle. So this is sort of the gateway of our ancestors, if you will. This is where the sun, or this the solar system, the sun and the solar system are moving away from. So we're moving away from this area of the sky, particularly where the star Sirius is. That's sort of like, you can think of it as our origin point for humanity, for the Earth, for the solar system itself, at least at this time. So there is a very powerful ancient connection with the star Sirius. I mean, there's so much literature out there about it, and online and in books and in other kinds of medium, that I would encourage you to research that, because it's truly a very powerful, has very powerful effect on our psyche in the long term, since our or sort of our origins there. But I've got these highlighted for you. So if you're an early bird and want to check out Sirius, you can see these stars coming up. Mars and Jupiter will be high in the sky at that time. So they don't rise around then until after, I think, 1 o'clock in the morning. So you'd have to really either stay up super late or really, really get up early at like 5 o'clock in the morning or so to go out and take a look at this. Now, here is the difference. This is another slide I'm sharing, which is similar to the other one, but the sun is now risen above the horizon, and it's in the sign of Leo. This is the astrological symbol of Leo, but you can see it's between the crab and the lion constellations here. Now, here's the sign of Virgo. Most of the lion constellation is now in the sign of Virgo. Part of it, the head and part of the foot that kind of extends out a little bit here, the leg, is in the sign of Leo, but I would say more than 2/3 of it, or close to 3/4 of the constellation, is in the sign of Virgo. So that's why, so this is part of the precession of the equinox. And the entire crab constellation is actually in the sign of Leo as well. And before this is the sign of Cancer. We have the Twins constellation. We have Procyon or Procyon star. So this is, you can freeze this moment here on the screen, the video, to kind of gauge in and tune in to what's really going on here, because there's a lot happening. But look at where star Sirius is. It sits off here. We can see the Orion's belt with it, and then we see Betelgeuse, Procyon, and Sirius making that near equilateral triangle here, which is, again, the gateway of ancestral origins. In fact, Caitlin Castell and I did a whole series about the two major gateways, of the gateway of divine destiny, which is in the northern stars, and then the ancestral origins, which is right here, I'm showing you here. And these are really powerful gateways for humanity. So let's take a look at some of the meaning of the Lion's Gate. So really, the Lion's Gate can mean anything you wish to manifest into this world along your journey. It shows us that the linear time is kind of a construct of humanity. We invented time to measure events, seasons, and bring order to the world. So it's important to have that in our lives. But each and every year we get to include it, no matter what artificial calendar we might use for this. So this is, if you strip away the calendar, you have this more organic experience with the sky and the earth and the movement, and you can create ceremony and ritual around this. So I mentioned the ancient Egyptians and how they used this time, which they started a whole new calendar around this time when it had its heliacal rise. Heliacal rise essentially is meaning that the star's relationship to the sun, or the planet's relationship to the sun, before the sun actually rises. So, so the modern Lion's Gate was only invented, really, from my understanding, kind of in the last few decades, or at least became known. Maybe it was sort of hidden out there. People mentioned it, but not really talked about it. So that's something that, I'm not sure who was the first person to, quote, say the Lion's Gate, at least in the context of the August 8th date. But here's some qualities that you can connect into of this Lion's Gate: manifestation of abundance, prosperity, speaking with courage. It's a time between seasons. The Celtic people call this time Lunasa, and traditionally was on August 1st. But the 15-degree mark of Leo the lion, or Leo, the sign of Leo, is where is that in between June solstice and the September equinox. So it was a period of the earliest harvesting of crops and a celebration of Earth's abundance. And then many others celebrate Lugnasa, not just of course, the Celtic people. That's sort of the origins of that. And then other qualities we can tap into here is our more into that self-confidence, self-love, and our creative power. We can use ritual and open up our own gateway, our own personal gateway, to seize our own path and align with our soul's intent. So each individual can do that during this time too, which can start really, most of the summer has a lot to do with this heliacal rise of Sirius, and the first appearance, after even Orion's belt disappears in June as well, and reappears in July. This is also something we can connect into too. All right, so and then there's some historical actual Lions Gates physically. So there's one in the old city of Jerusalem called St. Stephen's Gates, was one that was also called the Lions Gate. And here's an image of it from I think it's like over 100-year-old image here. But you can see there's two lions on each side of this gate around here. And there is the actual gate and entryway here. Then there is a lion gate at the entrance of a ancient fortified citadel of Mycenae, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, in Greece. So you can see these two lions here. They used to have, according to research, heads that were made of like bronze or some kind of metal, and they were long ago were plundered. So they're no longer there, but the bodies of the lions are still here, kind of marking the entryway of this particular gate. The lions really, and you go back to particularly ancient Egypt and some other countries, the lion was not just that because the lions roamed Africa, but the lion in the sky, had a powerful connection to humanity, including the inspiration of the building of the actual Sphinx, and many, many thousands of years ago. So when we look at that, and it's particularly its connection to ancient Egypt and the Nile River and the star Sirius, and even the Lion constellation and the sign of Leo, we can see all these interconnections with each other. And so this is something to consider when we're thinking about this, quote, Lion's Gate on August 8th. I think it's, some people talk about how it's really one of the most important things on our yearly calendar. I think they exaggerate a bit. It's important. I fully agree with that, but it's not the most important. There's definitely other things that are of greater importance, but yet not necessarily diminishing the Lion's Gate at all. The other thing is that some people say, well, it doesn't, we just made it up. It doesn't really exist. There's nothing really going on there. And I would say that's a big negative there. There is definitely something going on there, as my presentation, other people have shared in their writings too, and videos. Caitlin Castell, a colleague of mine, also did a video about the Lions Gate a year or two ago, I believe, maybe longer. You might want to check out her channel. She calls it the Time Gate. So she's got some other interesting insights about that, and I would definitely refer you to that. And I can link her video up with mine on the description. So feel free to leave any comments or questions about the Lions Gate, um, and any thoughts, maybe other videos maybe that I could do. But I'm going to keep creating and making more videos in the future. You can contact me at inspiralnexus@gmail.com or my website, inspiralnexus.com. You can also find some online courses that Caitlin Castell and I did at mystaralchemy.com. And I'm a shamanic and alchemical astrologer. I do personal astrology readings, mentoring classes, events, astrocartography. And I've been doing that since 2010. So I look forward to doing more of this content. And thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and share the video to people that you might think may love this. And I look forward to doing more. And thank you all for being a part of this.